I got home from work late that night, exhausted. I just wanted to go to bed and forget about the day. As I walked into my living room, I noticed something strange. There were words written on the wall in blood. I didn't know what to do. I was scared, but I also didn't want to believe that someone had actually written on my walls in blood. I took a closer look at the words. They said, "I'm watching you." I felt my heart start to race. I knew that I had to get out of there, but I was too scared to move. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, just staring at the words on the wall. Finally, I managed to force myself to move. I ran out of the living room and into the bedroom. I locked the door and hid under the covers. I lay there for hours, too scared to move. I didn't know who had written the words on the wall or why they were watching me. I finally fell asleep, but I had nightmares all night long. The next morning, I called the police. They came and took a look at the words on the wall, but they couldn't find any fingerprints or other evidence. The police told me that there was nothing they could do. They said that it was probably just a prank, but I didn't believe them. I moved out of my apartment a few weeks later. I couldn't stay there anymore, knowing that someone was watching me. I still don't know who wrote the words on the wall or why they were watching me. But I'll never forget that night, and I'll always be looking over my shoulder. As I stepped into my home after a long day at work, an eerie sensation washed over me. Something wasn't right. The air was heavy with an ominous presence, and my heart pounded in my chest. I brushed off my unease, chiding myself for being paranoid. But then, I heard it, a faint whisper, as if someone was hiding just out of sight. I called out, "Hello? Is anyone there?" No response. Fear gnawed at my insides, and I reached for the phone to dial the police. But just as my fingers grazed the handset, a dark figure emerged from the shadows. A chilling shiver ran down my spine. He was a man, tall and gaunt, with hollow eyes that seemed to pierce through my soul. I stumbled backward, my voice catching in my throat. "Who are you? What are you doing in my house?" He remained silent, his lips curling into a malevolent smile. Panic consumed me as I realized he was holding something in his hand, a gleaming knife. The glint of the blade sent terror coursing through my veins. In a desperate attempt to escape, I turned and sprinted towards the front door, but he was faster. He blocked my path, and I was trapped. There was no one to hear my cries for help. This was my worst nightmare, and it was happening in my own home. With each passing second, the man drew closer, his breath hot against my cheek. "You should have been more careful," he whispered, his voice sending chills down my spine. "Now, you'll never leave this place." Summoning all my courage, I fought back, pushing against him with all my strength. Adrenaline surged through me as I managed to break free and raced towards the kitchen. I grabbed the first thing I could find, a heavy frying pan, and swung it with all my might, striking him on the side of the head. The intruder crumpled to the floor, and I took my chance to flee. I ran out of my house, not daring to look back until I was at a safe distance. The police arrived shortly after, and the man was arrested. But the terror didn't end there. The image of those haunting eyes and that sinister smile lingered in my mind, a constant reminder that evil could lurk in the most unexpected places. From that day on, I could never truly feel at ease in my own home. Forever haunted by the night, I found a creepy man waiting for me in the shadows. As the rain poured outside, I stepped into my seemingly empty house, feeling a wave of exhaustion wash over me after a long day at work. Little did I know that the night was about to become a chilling nightmare I would never forget. The flickering hallway light welcomed me, casting eerie shadows that danced on the walls. As I made my way to the kitchen, a faint smell of decay filled the air, making me gag. My heart pounded in my chest as I tried to pinpoint the source of the dreadful stench. My eyes fell upon the cellar door, slightly ajar, that led to the dark depths below. A gut-wrenching feeling gnawed at my insides as I slowly descended the creaky stairs. With each step, the atmosphere grew colder, and I felt an unseen presence watching me. As I reached the bottom, my eyes widened in terror. There, lying motionless on the cold concrete floor, was a lifeless body, shrouded in darkness. I stifled a scream, my trembling hands covering my mouth. It was a young girl, no older than I, with long, matted hair and clothes stained with blood. My mind raced, trying to comprehend the horror before me. How had this girl ended up in my house? Was she a victim of a gruesome crime? Fear clutched at my heart as I thought of the potential danger lurking in my own home. Determined to find answers, I rushed back upstairs and called the police. They arrived promptly, their expressions turning grim as they examined the scene. An officer questioned me while others began their investigation. As they combed through the house, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every creak, every shadow seemed to hold a sinister presence. I feared that the killer might still be in the house, lurking in the corners, waiting to strike again. The police discovered that the girl's identity was Emily, a local college student who had been missing for weeks. The news sent shivers down my spine, knowing that her fate had brought her to my doorstep. In the days that followed, the investigation intensified, and the unease in my home only grew. Strange occurrences plagued me, objects moving on their own, eerie whispers in the dead of night, and a chilling sensation of being touched by an unseen force. I delved into Emily's past, hoping to unravel the mystery surrounding her death. As I dug deeper, I stumbled upon a dark secret tied to my house. Decades ago, it was the site of a series of heinous crimes committed by a deranged serial killer who was never caught. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. The evil that had stained the walls of my home all those years ago was somehow connected to Emily's tragic end. It seemed her restless spirit was trying to communicate, seeking justice for the unspeakable acts that had occurred within these very walls. With newfound determination, I sought a way to put Emily's spirit to rest. I consulted mediums, researched rituals, and even attempted to communicate with her myself. Each effort brought me closer to the horrifying truth that had been concealed for so long. But as the days turned into weeks, my own sanity began to unravel. The malevolent presence in my home grew stronger, and I realized that I was treading on dangerous ground. The evil force that had taken Emily's life was now threatening my own. In the end, I had no choice but to leave the house behind, escaping the haunting that had consumed my life. But even now, as I reside in a new place, I can't help but feel the lingering presence of Emily's spirit, forever tied to the sinister history of that dreadful house. And the chilling question remains, who'll be the next to uncover the dark secret within those walls?